Tonight, Hunter Biden firing back. He is now suing the Internal Revenue Service. Hunter Biden accusing the IRS of violating his privacy rights by disclosing details of his taxes, his returns to the public. The civil lawsuit reads in part, quote, IRS agents have targeted and sought to embarrass Mr. Biden via public statements to the media in which they and their representatives disclosed confidential information about a private citizen's tax matters. Two IRS agents, Mr. Gary Shapley and Mr. Joseph Ziegler, raised the stakes to unprecedented levels by engaging in a campaign to publicly smear Mr. Biden. End of quote. Now, the civil lawsuit comes on the heels of last week's criminal indictment of Hunter Biden. It also comes 2 months after the IRS whistleblowers who are named in the lawsuit came forward to accuse the Department of Justice of misconduct in regards to its investigation into Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden allegedly falsely claimed business deductions for payments made to the Chateau Marmont, a hotel room for his supposed drug dealer, sex club memberships, falsely referenced on the wire as a golf membership. All of these items were used to support the willfulness element for felony tax evasion. Second, with respect to the 2014 tax year, Hunter Biden did not report any of the money he earned from Burisma.
Investigators were not allowed to follow up on WhatsApp messages from Hunter Biden's Apple iCloud backup, where he suggested he was sitting next to his father. Prosecutors instructed investigators not to ask about the big guy or dad when conducting interviews. At every stage, decisions were made that benefited the subject of this investigation.
Attorney for IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley, Mark Lytle, joins me. Mark, you know, this is sort of curious. I mean, the agents are talking about tax returns in 2014, which are now barred by the statute of limitations because David Weiss, when he came in 2018, just sat on it. So those are barred by the statute of limitations. But what's interesting, besides the civil lawsuit today, is Abby Lowell has written a letter to Representative Jason Smith, the chairman of House Ways and Means. He says in 2018, the year that the controversy is about now in some ways, is that Hunter Biden was entitled to a refund. Do you have any information whether that's true or not?
No, Greta, I just received that information. I can tell you, though, that this lawsuit was just designed to smear the whistleblowers and try to intimidate these whistleblowers and any other agents who are thinking about coming forward. It's also sort of a misdirection from the legal troubles that Hunter Biden's going through. And it's really an attempt to intimidate our clients. And they're not going to put up with it. They're going to stand tall. They're going to speak what they feel has been the wrong situation here. They're revealing it. They're whistleblowers. They're following what Congress set out in the whistleblower statute that allows them to come forward and make protected disclosures. So,
well, you know what?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what I find sort of interesting, I mean, every time you write a pleading, as a lawyer, you have to worry about the other side of the coin. And Abby Lowell in the pleading, in the civil pleading, says that Hunter Biden was treated differently. And so naturally, the first thought is, yeah, he's being treated differently, maybe, you know, at one point, but he was also treated differently in that nothing was brought against him last October, and instead the case was sort of buried by David Weiss. So, you know, yes, he was treated differently, but in some ways, being treated differently was to his benefit.
Well, certainly the whistleblowers, with their years of experience, Gary Shapley, 14 years of experience as an IRS special agent, never saw anything like this in terms of the slow walking of the investigation and the obstructing of steps that naturally would have led to President Biden and other search warrants of Hunter Biden. And so these steps were the things that were abnormal in the case, and the whistleblowers felt the need to come forward, and they did so properly. And if they provided any confidential information, they did so properly and in a protected fashion under the statutes. Now, it's not in their control whether Congress decides to release that information. That's up to Congress, just like Congress did with the Trump tax returns, to release that information. So that's up to Congress in those ways.
Well, you know, always in all these cases in Washington, I always, you know, it's follow the money. And I do have some things I'm curious about, one of which is that this lawsuit is very expensive. and I don't know where Hunter Biden is getting the money unless the lawyer is doing it on a contingency fee basis, which would probably not particularly prudent because it's hard to win these cases. That's the first thing. Just as though I want to know where he got the money to pay his tax bill late. I mean, that's sort of curious. And I also want to know is that this lawsuit against the IRS, does the Department of Justice, which is criminally prosecuting Hunter Biden through the special prosecutor, are they going to represent the Internal Revenue in this?
Typically, the Department of Justice Civil Division represents U.S. government agencies in any civil lawsuits. But you raise a very good point. Where is the money coming from? I mean, Hunter Biden didn't pay taxes on millions of dollars he received from the Chinese government, and that was part of the investigation, as well as the Burisma case. And one of the things that I point out is that in the documents that have been released in this matter, so far, Hunter Biden's attorneys threatened that President Biden was going to be a witness in the case if it was ever brought against Hunter Biden. Well, I'm sure that they consulted with President Biden before they made that claim to the Department of Justice.
I don't get why that's even. I mean, that just to me sounds like someone saying something that really would like a do-over on, because I don't know if it makes any difference. But
well, I'll tell you,
we'll
I'd like
see.
to know if they consulted with President Biden before they filed this civil lawsuit. I think that'd be important to know.
Well, maybe we'll find out. Mark Lytle, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.